Now, Woj just mentioned just how many injuries this team has had. I look at LaMelo Ball, the ankle injuries, the leg injuries that he's had. How far away? Is it just a matter of health in your mind, or the Hornets from being a playoff team again here?
I mean, we're going to be real. I don't think they were trying to win a lot of games last year. And yet they did. They went 12-12 after the trade deadline, when theoretically a team that's trying to position itself for one of the greatest draft classes we've seen in recent years should be losing a lot of games. They won a lot. Those young players, when there was no pressure on them, when they were probably would have been better served losing more, they went 12-12 down the stretch. I think they have some good talent. Obviously, LaMelo Ball is a superstar in this league. He just needs to stay on the court. We'll see what Brandon Miller becomes, but I think they could easily make the jump and be a play-in team.
Yeah.
Now, play-in or playoffs. So
right.
that's where they are right now in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, play-in certainly feels realistic, at least to me, Perk. What do you think?
Play-in, no, not listen. They so far away from the play-in tournament in the postseason. Here's the thing: they got to get their culture together, right? Like, in order to build a house, you got to have a foundation first. We don't know their foundation. Yes, we know that they signed LaMelo Ball to a contract extension. Rightfully so, right? We know that he is the face of the franchise. They drafted Brandon Miller. Okay, outside of those two guys, I don't know who's next. I don't know if you're going to move if you consider Terry Rozier part of the foundation. I don't know if you consider Gordon Hayward part of the foundation. I know those guys are getting paid good money. But still in all, you got to develop culture. Because once you develop culture, all of a sudden you become eye candy. Look at what the New York Knicks did. They made a run. They hired Tom Thibodeau. They had Julius Randle. R.J. Barrett, they drafted. They had Emmanuel Quickly. Those guys, they made a playoff push. All of a sudden, they landed Jalen Brunson. Not everybody is talking about the Knicks. All of a sudden, they traded for Josh Hart. Now people are looking at the New York Knicks like, hey, I want to go play with those guys. I want to go play in that system. People are not saying that about the Charlotte Hornets.
Well,
I'm sorry.
At least not yet, right? And we have new ownership coming in, and we get to see sort of what they're going to do. Zach, I'm curious, what do you think the process is going to look like for the Hornets for their success moving forward here?
Yeah, the new ownership comes in. Yeah, the other groups have made big splashes. The Hornets, the good news and the bad news is they're so far away from being good that there is no big splash for them to make. It makes zero sense for them to come in and make a win-now move to try and beef up this team. If anything, they should probably try to get off the Terry Roziers and the Gordon Haywards and make sure they get one more high pick in the draft to move forward with, because if all these guys are healthy and available, this is sneakily not that bad of a team. Steve Clifford is a really good coach who will wring all the wins you can get out of a roster, and they're not that far from the play-in. It's not that hard to make the play-in tournament and be 10th or whatever in the Eastern Conference. They're not that far from that, but I don't think there'll be a big splash. And the two most important words Woj said are infrastructure and credibility. I think this group is going to pour a ton of money into the organization, modernize it, add staff, add new blood, and get it in line with the other organizations in the league, because this is an attractive market. It's a place that players like Kemba Walker has made it his home in the U.S. At least he just signed overseas. I think they have potential to build this up if they do it slowly and make the right steps and pour money into it, and that's what I would expect these guys to do.
Woj, what more can you tell us about their approach there?
Yeah, and I think they are looking at the long term here. Like Zach said, there's no short-term splashes to make. I think the name that we haven't mentioned, Miles Bridges. He signed the qualifying offer after missing last season, coming off of that arrest and then essentially his plea. But he is on the qualifying offer this year, which means he could be an unrestricted free agent next season. This is a player who before the start of free agency a year ago was on the cusp of a $100 million plus deal in Charlotte or as a restricted free agent elsewhere. And so certainly Bridges' future, this is a 20-point-a-game scorer. You saw last year Mark Williams, the rookie center out of Duke. You saw him evolve as the season went on. I do think if this team is healthy, if Bridges comes back and is similar to the player that he was, LaMelo Ball makes that jump, I do think this is potentially a playoff team, even more than a play-in team. This, to me, Well, listen, 7 and 8 are the play-in, so certainly. But I think this is a team that could be in the postseason. You know, Zach said it. Steve Clifford. Very few coaches do more with less than him, and I think he's been building an environment, a culture there. They were devastated by injuries, but this starts with ownership now and that new group and how they're going to go about perhaps maybe modernizing this Charlotte organization as they start to move forward.
Modernizing is such a great word for it, and I expect to see that trickle-down effect. Ramona and I were talking about it a little bit in the break, even about someone like Steph Curry, who really struggled staying on the floor early in his career with those ankle injuries. But once he was able to turn that corner, I'm not necessarily making a player comp, but when a star like LaMelo Ball can stay on the floor, there is no telling what can happen. Woj, thank you so much.
Past or present, NBA players I would pick Shaquille O'Neal as my center, Tim Duncan as my power forward, Larry Bird as my small forward. Am I on the team? Michael Jordan as my shooting guard. Late addition. I'm not taking Larry. I'm taking Kobe as my small forward, Jordan as my shooting guard, and Magic Johnson at point guard. I won't be on the team.
The addition of more and more dogs as he's saying all of this just makes me happy. But what he said was Shaq, Duncan, Kobe, MJ, and Magic. So Perk, the obvious name maybe that's missing, I'm going to say he didn't say any modern guys. I mean, Kobe Bryant, if you're going to consider Kobe Bryant one of the more modern guys, right? But he didn't consider any modern guys, including LeBron James. How do you feel about this list, Perk?
I actually don't have a problem with the list. To be honest with you, I actually love the list. That's his, again, it's not our list, that's his list, okay? But I would tweak some things, but I can't say he's wrong about that list. Shaq, the most dominant force we've ever seen. Tim Duncan, Mr. Fundamental, the greatest power forward to ever touch the basketball. Kobe Bryant, do we have to say anything about him? Jordan, do we have to say anything about him? And Magic Johnson, for those who are out there who are young, who still got Similac and breast milk on their breath, Magic Johnson was the greatest point guard of all time when it came to dishing the pill at 6'9". Here we are. Nothing is wrong with that list.
Zach?
So Perk is talking about Similac.
Yeah,
that's a formula.
Steph Curry is in front of some kind of pink backdrop with dogs
everywhere,
swarming him.
I love it.
And I'm supposed to be reading a lot into his choices and like getting upset about it. He's petting dogs and saying names. I have no idea what's going on or what the context of any of that is. I will just say, first of all, props for having Tim Duncan on. He's not mentioned enough when people do these all-time lists, all-time starting fives. It's Tim freaking Duncan. I do think, without getting angry or upset at the dogs even, I do think it's notable that LeBron is considered generally either the greatest or second greatest player of all time. And Steph faced him in the finals a million times, and his name didn't come out of his mouth. I just think it's a little bit interesting, but I have a lot of things in my life I have to really care about. I can't care too much about this or consider it a glaring omission. It's Steph's list. The dogs were cute. I'm really confused by everything that's going on, and I do not want to think about Similac again today. Thank you, Perk.
For a guy who has won 4 championships in the greatest shooting backcourt in history, there's not a lot of shooting on that team. I mean, they're not going to play any of the way the Warriors have ever played, right? It was Shaq as the big man. Like, if you just think stylistically, that is a completely different team than Steph's ever played on. But I also think, at first I thought the puppies were distracting him. Like, they're very cute, and there's just more and more of them as this video goes on.
I love it.
But this is a guy who trains for this. I mean, Steph trains so that he's not distracted by anything. Have you ever seen the dribbling drills he does? So I think he's actually very focused. And the more I read his answer, the smarter it is, because that is a very political answer. That is, I am not going to name myself or anyone else of the current era, so that if I leave off everyone in the current era, then we're just focusing on the past.
Right, exactly.
Very
if I put
smart.
myself in there, then I would have to put LeBron in there.
Exactly.
Welcome to NBA Today. I'm Malika Andrews, and I hope you all had a great weekend. And if you look at the NBA calendar, today, it's not just another Monday. I mean, it kind of is just another Monday, but it's also not, because we're officially 3 months away from the start of the 2023-24 season. It officially tips off October 24th, and lucky for us, we have a trio of experts here to help break us down the 3 questions heading into next season. But we're going to start with our friend Kendrick Perkins. Hello, Perk. Happy Monday to you, my friend. I'm hoping we can start our conversation here, right? Next year, how do you think all of this is going to shake out in terms of the top 3 contenders, please?
Well, the way that it's going right now, look, it's 3 teams that I got my eye on, the big Perk eye. And I'm going with the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? You think about it, they brought back that core group in free agency, being able to re-sign Brook Lopez and Chris Middleton. Also, we know what Bobby Portis is going to bring to the table. He didn't have his best season last year. He was dealing with injuries. Chris Middleton finally is going to get his legs up under him. And Drew Holiday is going to come back with a vengeance. For the simple fact, he got to remember what Jimmy Butler did to him last postseason. Also, I'm looking at the Phoenix Suns. I don't give a damn how many people are out there talking about how top-heavy they are, but so what? They have 3 of the most efficient, prolific scorers in the game on one team. Don't give me this nonsense about a point guard, because all of these guys are underrated playmakers. Let's see what happened with the signing of Bo. Can he come in? Can Frank Vogel put him in position to be successful? I'm looking for DeAndre Ayton to come back and show the world who the hell he could be. And at number 1, where this list is not in order, I would not disrespect the defending champs.
Okay.
Although Jokic been turning up, I've been watching him flip off canoes and rafting and drinking beer. But guess what? It's first team all whack body, and he still is a problem when it comes to getting buckets. Jamal Murray had a season under him where he looked great in the postseason. He's finally healthy. I'm gonna be looking at him to raise his caliber play up to superstar standards. And then also Caldwell Pope is back. Aaron Gordon is back. We saw last year what Michael Porter Jr. did in the postseason. So those are my top 3 teams right now that I'm looking at should be the top 3 favorites for us contending and winning the NBA championship.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.